As you wish.
If the Emperor and her have a falling out, we may just have a second chance.
Shut up! Regardless of genders, she treats people. When did that become a crime to you?
I just wanted to help people. Those commissioners don't even know me.
You keep messing around. I can always resume my previous duties.
不想见那一人那一面，也不愿你我错过的流年。
Unazungumza nini na maadui zetu wewe?
Ndio nipige kibao. Wajua nilikuwa niko karibu tu kupatana na Leo.
Unifuatafuata na isiyotaka kunimaliza kabisa.
Watoto wa dadangu hata sijui kama ni wake.
Umaanisha nini?
Huoni kwamba wakati umefika wa kuungana na mimi? Umemwambia nini babako ulipoongea naye?
Nothing.
Ana?
Piki kinaendelea hapa.
Haijalishi kinachoendelea.
I will only stop you from killing more people.
And what if I kill you too?
Because I can't love you.
And she can't love you either.
If you really love Vicente as much as you say, then why haven't you reproached me for his death?
Love of my life, my dear. And there's nobody who can change that, darling.
Now, all we need to do is move on to the second phase of the plan. You'll love this. Because this is where you come in.
You have something stuck here, right over here.
Eduardo?
Don't let him get away!
What's going on?
Hang on real hard.
Kitwek FM Kigosin 98.0 Kitwek FM Kigosin.
Do you have a news story to share with KBC? Get in touch swiftly on email newsroom@kbc.co.ke, call 0723 892 654 or 0734 780 124.
We are live from the broadcasting house here in Nairobi. Good afternoon and a very warm welcome to KBC Lunchtime News on this 12th the day of October. It's actually back to school. We have that plus much more. My name is Njue, and remember, you can be part of this conversation via all our social media spaces. Well, we begin the corridors of justice, where the International Court of Justice will this afternoon rule on a bitter maritime dispute between Kenya and Somalia at the Indian Ocean. The ruling stemmed from a case filed by Mogadishu in the year 2014, citing failed talks to resolve the matter. A full bench of 15 judges, led by U.S. Judge Joan Donago, will deliver the verdict at the Peace Palace at The Hague at 1300 GMT.
At stake of the ruling is the sovereignty, rich maritime resource between Kenya and Somalia in the Indian Ocean water. Kenya last week hit at the ICJ, terming the court biased, and made it clear that it will not recognize the court's binding jurisdiction and that it was not ready to cede any part of its territory.
As a sovereign nation, Kenya shall no longer be subject to an international court or tribunal without its expressed consent.
At the center of the dispute is the direction that the joint maritime boundary should take from the point where the land frontiers meet on the coast. Somalia maintains the boundary should follow the orientation of its land border and thus head out in a line towards the southeast, but Kenya stand that the boundary runs in a straight line east. Kenya has exercised sovereignty over the area since 1979 when it proclaimed the limits of its exclusive economic zone, a maritime territory extending up to 200 nautical miles offshore, where a state has the right to exploit resources. 2 weeks ago, Kenya notified the UN Secretary General that it was withdrawing its 1965 declaration accepting the ICJ's compulsory jurisdiction.
Kenya, on the 24th September 2021, also joined many other members of the United Nations in withdrawing its recognition of the court's compulsory jurisdiction.
Somalia and Kenya had agreed in 2009 to settle the dispute through bilateral negotiations. 2 meetings were held in 2014, but little progress was made, with a third round that same year failing to materialize. Somalia then took the matter to the ICJ in 2014, saying diplomatic attempts to resolve the row had led nowhere.
Away from that, schools resume Tuesday for the second term after a 1-week break in line with Crash Learning Program. Parents and learners thronged various bus stations as public service operators doubled fares to meet the huge demand.
This was the situation at Tea Room in Nairobi's Central Business District. The hustles and bustles as learners rush to get back to school for the second term. For parents, it was a time to dig deep into their pockets as the transport industry literally doubled fares.
Ile shida yako ni shida magari. Sababu ukiangalia kwa stage hakuna watu wako wengi lakini magari haziko.
Na leo siku nzuri. Fare imepanda sana. Kama sisi leo tunalipa 1000 na tunalipaga 500. Tumesinywa kidogo.
So many people traveling fast and magari hazitoshi ama ziko kidogo. So yeah, that's the main problem.
Matatu operators say though vehicles are now carrying full capacity, the demand is high.
Sasa tunapepa normal capacity na demand sasa iko juu. Na demand ikienda juu mpaka bei nayo ipande. Inaendanga tu hivyo kwa biashara.
Tumeongeza na ngapi leo?
Kama saa sasa tumeongeza karibu 100% from 500 tuna charge 1000.
A cross section of parents expressing frustrations about the cost implications of the crash program.
Time ya shule kufunguliwa ilikuwa very short. Pesa hakuna. Hata hatujatafuta pesa, unatuma tu mwanafunzi unaongea na maybe principal akuwekele kwanza kidogo ndio at least upate do.
Challenge imekuwa kwamba fees imepanda na tena break imekuwa kidogo sana such that we were not able to kupata pesa ambazo zilikuwa zilipe fees. Na kwa sababu hiyo tunawarudisha na madeni. We hope hawatarejeshwa nyumbani tena.
Leo challenge imekuwa ni the fare. I have 2 kids wenye wanasoma Limuru na kuna wengine wanasoma Mombasa. So there is a challenge ya fare going and the logistics pamoja na shopping plus the school fees within these short periods imekuwa challenge to us who are common wananchis.
Dealers in school uniform too decry law business. The situation was no different in most parts of the country.
Vile watoto wanarudi shule tutakuwa tunasunguka na maofisa wetu wengine ili tuhakikishe kwamba watoto wamerudi shule mapema.
Learners will be in school until 23rd December 2021 when schools close for the second term break. After just about 11 days of break, learners are now up and down trying to beat the back-to-school rush. However, the biggest burden is on parents who claim that they are now financially constrained. Kamche Menzam for Lunchtime News.
Thanks, Kamche, for that. Elsewhere, President Uhuru Kenyatta on Monday held bilateral talks with United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres at the UN headquarters in New York. President Kenyatta and Guterres discussed several subjects of global importance, among them security and humanitarian crisis in Haiti and Ethiopia's Tigray region, as well as preparations for the forthcoming UN Climate Change Conference COP26 in Glasgow, Scotland.
President Uhuru Kenyatta, who is in the US on a 2-day official visit, held talks with the United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres on the Tigray crisis. The president and his host agreed to continue engaging the Ethiopian government and other actors in the internal conflict with a view of finding a lasting solution to the conflict. On the political and humanitarian situation in Haiti, President Kenyatta and Guterres resolved to continue rallying the international community to stand in solidarity with the people of troubled Caribbean nation as it navigates its way out of the current situation. Once again, President Kenyatta affirmed Kenya's commitment to the attainment of the UN Sustainable Development Goals and assured Guterres of the country's determination to continue working to advance the United Nations agenda globally. On Tuesday, President Kenyatta will chair a UN Security Council session on diversity, state building, and peace before participating in an International Peace Institute's Global Leaders discussion on the UN Secretary General's Common Agenda report.
Moving on, 5 new members of the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights have taken oath of office, pledging to execute their mandate to the best of their ability. Speaking at the inaugural meeting of the commission, Principal Secretary, State Department for Public Service, Mary Kimonya, advised the commission to embrace the task ahead and serve Kenyans. On the in tray for the commissioners is vetting candidates for appointment as chairperson.
When I looked at your profiles, I saw the wisdom in why each one of you is a member of this panel. So your job is enormous. The citizens are looking up to you. Please do not disappoint them. I'd also like to urge you to discharge your mandate with objectivity, integrity, professionalism, and confidentiality. Ensure adherence to all provisions of the Constitution, the Act, and any law relating to the assignment, including the prescribed timelines, to ensure successful completion of the assignment. I assure you of the full support of my ministry in terms of provision of secretariat services and other logistical support which you may require in the discharge of your mandate.
The Orange Democratic Movement grassroots leaders in Mombasa County are calling on the party leader Raila Odinga to ensure there is no favorism in the nomination process. The leaders say party primaries at the grassroots should be free and fair to accommodate all ODM aspirants.
Addressing residents of Ghana Hola in Mikindani informal settlement during a voter registration sensitization drive, Orange Democratic Movement grassroots leaders urged the party leadership to make sure no aspirant will be favored during the party primaries. Led by Mikindani Member of County Assembly Juma Renson Thoya, who also doubles as ODM chair for Jomvu Sub-County, the leaders alleged to giving some influential candidates direct ODM tickets.
Tunataka uchaguzi ulioko huru na haki. Lakini sisi tunasema saye sangangane, kuna mwenzake ameweka miguu kwa TV anaangalia anasema certificate niko nayo.
At the same forum, Mama Zamzam Mohammed, a woman political activist, noted direct nominations might cause a fallout that could cost the ODM party in 2022 general elections.
Kwa hiyo tunaomba chama cha ODM tufanye free and fair nominations. Kwa nini tuje tudhulumiwe wakati wa nomination? Baba anataka foot soldiers ambao watafanya kazi mpaka baba apate sifa.
Elsewhere, the electorate in Gatundu North electorates have been urged to take advantage of the ongoing mass voter registration campaign by the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission. Parliamentary aspirant Professor Ndungu Ikenya and Engineer Patrick Mungai called on youths who are eligible and have identity cards to make good use of the opportunity to enlist as voters.
And I want to encourage each one of you, our people in Gatundu North, our people in Mount Kenya region, our people in Kenya, please go and register yourselves. This time, this country will move to the next level.
And Baringo North Member of Parliament William Cheptumo and Baringo Women Representative Gladwell Tungo clashed during the burial of former Roads Minister Engineer Andrew Chepkoyo Kipton over the revoking of appointments by Ministry of Labour to parastatal boards.
Wale wote aliweka walitolewa. I want to say we are not going to allow KANU na wenye walitutembelea na wote ambao waliweza toa watu ni KANU. That's the truth. Na watu wangu walitolewa
Labour Cabinet Secretary Simon Chelugui, who was also present, called for fairness in government appointments.
And still at the coast, a well-wisher has come to the rescue of hundreds of Malindi constituency residents who have been battling acute water shortage. The well-wisher has already dug 25 boreholes to serve locals out of 71 that he targets.
Amina Mnyanzi, a local activist, has already drilled and completed 25 boreholes and targets to drill 71 boreholes so as to enable the locals access water at ease.
Sababu mimi niko na imani kwamba maji ni uhai. So lazima tuangalie masuala ya watu wetu, environment yenye ambao wao wanaishi.
Local says the projects are timely and will help in cutting time wasted in sourcing for the scarce commodity.
Tumekuwa na shida ya maji katika hii eneo letu, area yetu ya hapa Maweni. Tumekuwa na shida kubwa sana. Maji kama ya Mawasco yakija kipotea basi yanaenda mwezi mzima. Tunapata shida, lakini kwa sasa tumepata pumziko kupitia mheshimiwa. Tunapata shida sana kwa sababu kuna visima vichache paka upige foleni, watoto nyumbani wataka maji, hakuna maji, utangojea paka kwa masaa mawili matatu. Lakini sasa ukienda hata yakipotea wewe unaenda kuteka tu.
Among the beneficiaries include residents of Shela, Chief's Office, Maweni, Juakali CIDC, Serena, Malindi Police Station, among others.
From Malindi at about 15 minutes past the hour, we are taking a quick break, but on the other side of this break, we still have more news, so don't go away. Keep it KBC.
As you wish.
If the Emperor and her have a falling out, we may just have a second chance.
Shut up! Regardless of genders, she treats people. When did that become a crime to you?
I just wanted to help people. Those commissioners don't even know me.
You keep messing around. I can always resume my previous duties.
Only stop you from killing more people. And what if I kill you too?
Because I can't love you. And she can't love you either.
If you really love Vicente as much as you say, then why haven't you reproached me for his death?
Love of my life, my dear. And there's nobody who can change that, darling.
Now, all we need to do is move on to the second phase of the plan. You'll love this. Because this is where you come in.
You have something stuck here. Right over here.
Eduardo?
Don't let him get away!
What's going on?
Hang on. Hang on real hard.
na moja kanga maswali yo fresh kise kumbanda mimi nipenda upendo wako jeni kosti mama wewe hizi kufa kwa kidonda ni utamu so cheesy
mwanamuziki Ricky, karibu sana ndugu yangu ndani ya Top Mashariki. Feel free, feel home. Yani jisikie tu fresh kabisa.
Ansena nini? Eti sijui ni ansena nini?
Nawapenda sana wa Kenya, endelea kusupport muziki wangu. Napenda KBC. Asante kwa
protect me from my enemies.
That's why they've sacrificed grace and mercy. Nothing they can do to stop this music. Don't lose your culture. Don't lose your culture.
The vulturine guinea fowl, an animal that has the head of a vulture, the colors of the most brilliant of species, and the tail of a peacock.
What I love most about the birds is their behavior, their calls, how the males attract the females. It's very fascinating. We are still studying the reason why anybody in the group can initiate movement and all the rest will follow.
This is Wildlife Warriors, and I'm Paula Kahungu.
Angie, if you don't mind, how old is he?
How about none of your business?
I say, Njue, how do you know about my situation? You've just described it perfectly.
Lara, what part was perfect? You having a kid or a wife?
Why are you poking your nose where it is not supposed to be poking? Let him ask for himself.
Yes, and the number you give me goes to voicemail all the time. You know, I was thinking that maybe you called me.
Guys, you cannot leave this class. She's probably coming here.
Assisia, get out of my way. You are wasting my time, one.
Welcome back and thanks for keeping it KBC. Moving on, West Pokot Governor John Lonyangapuo has urged the national government to recognize peace-building efforts spearheaded by village elders in the county. Speaking at Kamoro in West Pokot after unveiling 52 village elders from Sigirio Tartar, where he issued them with uniforms, the county boss said it was crucial for the national government to issue the elders with attires for easy identification and recognition by members of the public while executing their duties in their respective villages.
Nataka hiyo apili bwana Matiang'i na hata President Kenyatta wasikie. Kuna serikali yenu inashikiliwa nao watu wa mtaa. Ndio wanapeana ujumbe kwa sub-chief. Kutoka sub-chief wafike kwa chief. Kutoka kwa chief wanaenda namna hiyo mpaka bound commission. Na hiyo ndio inatoa shida zote ya tabia ya mwanadamu. Insecurity itaisha. Mambo ya pombe haramu itaisha. Wizi taani barabarani itaisha. And so on and so on. Na hii ndio hii group ndio imenisaidia manage mambo ya insecurity kwa hii county. Mambo ya wizi ya ng'ombe iliisha sababu tunafanya kazi na wazee.
Elsewhere, teenage girls have been cautioned against falling prey to the antics of unscrupulous men who are out to exploit them sexually. During celebrations to mark the International Day of the Girl Child at the Il Mashariani AIC, Church in Narok, it was noted that many girls from underprivileged families cannot afford sanitary towels and are often lured into sexual relations in exchange for the same.
The Narok Peace Association organized an event to sensitize young girls on the importance of pursuing their dreams, including academic goals. Joshua Olekaputa, the Narok Peace Ambassador, called for concerted efforts from parents and other stakeholders to ensure girls are protected.
There are families that cannot afford sanitary towels. In our schools, we've heard of stories where girls have actually been embarrassed because of lack of sanitary towels, and men have been going around and taking advantage of the girls because these girls cannot afford sanitary towels.
His sentiments were echoed by Grace Sangingo, who called for safe spaces to encourage girls to speak out on their tribulations.
Narok County Peace Association, we come out clean and teach them about sex education and also how to take care of themselves during the time when they have their menstrual periods and all that. And also we are teaching them on how to resist early marriages and also female genital mutilation.
The organization donated the sanitary towels to over 50 schoolgirls in Narok North constituency.
We have been given sanitary towels, which will help us because maybe there are those who come from a poor background. They cannot manage to get these sanitary towels.
About the sanitary towels, sometimes we encounter many challenges, like you don't have money to buy and all those, and we appreciate.
Narok is among the leading counties with the highest number of girls dropping out of school, but stakeholders and both levels of government are working towards ending the trend. Reporting for Lunchtime News, I'm Malina Msafiri.
Isiolo women rep Rehema Jaldesa claims some local politicians are now engaging border operators to malign their competitors. Jaldesa says Kenya is a democracy and all politicians have a right to sell their agenda in any corner of the country.
Isiolo Women Representative Rehema Jaldesa, who was presenting a 2 million shilling donation from the Deputy President to the Isiolo Market Management Committee, called for political tolerance, saying no one should be heckled while touring the area.
Hatuwezi kubali cartels wakufanyie kitu inaitwa intimidation, kutisha, kuuziwa baridi, lakini wanaongojea ndio watumiwe siku mgeni anakuja. Unajua hiyo ni tabia mbaya, lakini hiyo ni tabia kama viongozi tunafaa kuikemea. Hiyo si nzuri.
The Isiolo Market Management Committee, led by the chairperson Daniel Gitonga, lauded the efforts by the woman representative to solicit for help from various quarters and vowed to support her endeavor to retain the seat.
Mama nguvu, mama suja.
Tumeshukuru sana kwa sababu hata ametuconnect na deputy president. Wacha tumshukuru tu, na mimi nasema Mungu akuongoze na najua hata kura utapata.
The donation is meant to help in the reconstruction of the market that was once reduced to ashes 3 years ago. For Lunchtime News, I'm Nisi Imano Okoth.
Further afield, the Ethiopian army has launched coordinated attacks on all fronts against rebel forces from the northern Tigray region. Elsewhere, members of parliament in the United Kingdom have released a report on the management of COVID-19, terming the rapid spread earlier in the pandemic as one of the worst ever public health failures.
A rebel leader in Mozambique has been killed following an intense gun battle with government troops in his forest hideout in central Sofala province. Mariano Nihongo, who led the Renamo military junta, was killed along with a close associate of his. Nihongo had broken away from Renamo, rejecting a peace deal he had signed with President Filipe Njue in 2019 to end the conflict. Meanwhile, the Ethiopian army has launched coordinated attacks on all fronts against forces from the northern Tigray region. The Ethiopian government has not confirmed reports of a major offense against the Tigray rebels, but a mobilization of the country's forces and allied militia over the past few months has left no doubt that a huge operation was in the offing. Elsewhere, a report by members of parliament in the United Kingdom say failure to do more to stop COVID-19 spreading early in the pandemic was one of the worst ever public health failures. The government approach, backed by its scientists, was to try to manage the situation and in effect achieve herd immunity by infection, it said. This led to a delay in introducing the first lockdown, costing lives. MPs also noted there had been successes too, in particular the vaccination program. It described the whole approach from the research and development through to the rollout of the jabs as one of the most effective initiatives in UK history. And finally, North Korea's leader Kim Jong-un has vowed to build an invincible military in the face of hostile policies from the United States, according to state media. Kim Jong-un added that weapons development was for self-defense and not to start a war. He made the comments at a rare defense exhibition while flanked by a variety of large missiles. North Korea has recently tested what it claims to be new hypersonic and anti-aircraft missiles.
At about 1:30, let's take our second break, but when we come back, we focus on matters business.
Only stop you from killing more people. And what if I kill you too? Because I can't love you.
And she can't love you either.
If you really love Vicente as much as you say, then why haven't you reproached me for his death?
Love of my life, my dear. And there's nobody who can change that, darling.
Now, all we need to do is move on to the second phase of the plan. You'll love this. Because this is where you come in.
You have something stuck here, right over here.
Eduardo?
Don't let him get away!
What's going on?
Hang on.
Natanda, mitundo kitchenes, na moja kanga, maswali yo fresh, ise kumbanda mi. Umenipenda mekupenda upendo wako jeni kosti. Izi kufa kwa kidonda ni utamu so uchizi.
Mziki Riki, karibu sana ndugu yangu ndani ya Top Mashariki. Feel free, feel home. Yani jisikie tu fresh kabisa.
Ansena nini? Eti sijui ni ansena nini?
Nawapenda sana wa Kenya, endelea kusupporti muziki wangu. Napenda KBC. Asante kwa support.
The vulturine guinea fowl, an animal that has the head of a vulture, the colors of the most brilliant of species, and the tail of a peacock.
What I love most about the birds is their behavior, their calls, how the males attract the females. It's very fascinating. We are still studying the reason why anybody in the group can initiate movement and all the rest will follow.
This is Wildlife Warriors, and I'm Paula Kahumbi.
I want you to book a match between Jimmy Havoc and LA Park.
And it's going to be strong style at its finest.
Welcome back to business. And output at a luxury car maker BMW's main vehicle assembly plant in South Africa has been hit by a wage strike in the engineering sector by the country's biggest metal workers union. So far, production of about 700 vehicles was lost. Here are the details of these and others from across the continent.
The National Union of Metal Workers of South Africa launched the strike after pay talks with employer bodies reached a deadlock, raising fears the action would spill over and block supplies of parts to make new cars. NUMSA, with around 155,000 members organized in the sector, wants an 8% across-the-board wage hike in the first year and inflation plus 2% for the second and third years. Industry body Steel and Engineering Industries Federation of Southern Africa had initially offered 4.4% for 2021, inflation plus 0.5% in 2022, and inflation plus 1% in the third year. Meanwhile, Nigeria's central bank has been urged by the country's vice president to review its foreign exchange management strategy and ensure that the naira's valuation reflects market reality. Nigeria has been battling dollar shortages resulting from low prices for oil, its main export, and disruptions linked to COVID-19. The central bank has devalued the currency 3 times since March last year, but the naira has continued to weaken. The local currency has hit new lows on the black market since the central bank in July banned dollar sales to bureau de change operators in a string of curbs on the currency market. Finally, MTN Uganda says it had set the price of its initial public offering for the sale of a 20% stake of 200 Ugandan shillings per share as the East African nation's biggest telecoms operator launched the country's biggest IPO. MTN Uganda is offering 4.5 billion shares after the unit of South Africa's MTN Group secured regulatory approval last week. This would value the stake at $250 million and MTN Uganda at $1.25 billion. The telecoms firm, which has 15 million subscribers, also offers mobile money financial services, which is the firm's biggest growth area, as more people sought cashless transactions amid the COVID-19 pandemic. Reporting for Lunchtime News, my name is Hibak Said.
And beyond the continent, coal prices in China have hit a fresh high as mines have been shut down due to the recent flooding in the Asian country. Although some sites are now slowly resuming operations, 15 people have died during the severe floods that have affected more than 1.6 million people in the province. Here are the details of this and others from across the world.
The price of coal used in China's power plants has surged to a new record high as another of the country's key mining regions is hit by flooding. Heavy rains hit Shanxi, the country's biggest coal-producing province, after record floods struck the mining region of Henan. Thermal coal on the Zhengzhou Commodity Exchange rose as much as 8% on Tuesday. Shanxi province, which produced around a third of China's coal supplies this year, was forced to temporarily shut dozens of mines due to flooding. Meanwhile, Asian shares dropped as a global energy crunch fueled inflation fears, clouding investor sentiment before the U.S. corporate earnings season. MSCI's broadest index of Asia-Pacific shares outside Japan was down 0.9% in early trade after U.S. stocks ended the previous session with mild losses. Economies are entering a more challenging phase of the cycle, and global energy crunch fuels inflation worries. Finally, South Korea's LG Chem Limited and LG Electronics says their latest quarterly results accounted for costs of about $917.66 million in connection with General Motors' Bolt EV recall. LG Chem says it had accounted for recall-related costs of about $517.23 million in its earning results for the July-September period. LG Electronics, which assembles LGES cells into battery modules and packs, said it had accounted for about 480 billion won in similar costs. GM had expanded a recall of its Bolt electric vehicles to more than 140,000 cars to replace LG battery modules due to fire risk at a cost it estimated at $1.8 billion.
You are watching KBC Lunchtime News. Let me appreciate Bianca Suzy, Kiprono Dennis, Mercy Ochilo. You are all tuned in via Facebook, and also Panyako Jaffred Indeche from Karen. You say you are watching. Thank you for keeping me company. Elsewhere, Kenya and the United States have signed a private sector agreement that seeks to expand trade and investments between the two countries. President Uhuru Kenyatta witnessed the agreement signed between Kenya Private Sector Alliance and Corporate Council on Africa, which provides a framework for Kenyan and American businesses, especially the small and medium enterprises, to partner through information sharing, training, logistics, and financing.
The Kenya Private Sector Alliance signed the deal with Corporate Council on Africa, which is the largest umbrella body of American companies operating in Africa. Speaking at the signing ceremony in New York on the first day of his 2-day official visit to the US, the president said the government-backed pact was part of efforts to support the growth of Kenyan SME sector as a key enabler of wealth and employment creation. President Kenyatta noted that both Kenyan and US economies are largely driven by SMEs, saying that the agreement would help accelerate Kenya's economic recovery efforts from the ravages of the COVID-19 pandemic. The president challenged the American government to be a reliable and predictable trading partner for the initiative to succeed.
A good number of SMEs who either are already partnering or working in Kenya, and you will form the basis of what I believe will be a prosperous future for our two countries, but also an opportunity to create investment where it matters. And investment matters when it changes lives. SMEs change lives.
KEPSA CEO Carol Kariuki said her organization's singular focus was to ensure Kenyan SMEs tap into and benefit from the expansive and lucrative American market by leveraging on the networks and expertise provided by its Trade and Investment Pact with CCA.
The U.S.-Kenya SME Trade Initiative is a vision of CCA and KEPSA, and the concept for this initiative came from a desire that Carol and I both have to take concrete steps to scale up U.S.-Kenya trade, recognizing that SMEs are a driving force.
On her part, the CEO of CCA, Flori Liza, commended President Kenyatta for creating a conducive business environment for local and foreign investments to thrive by championing progressive policies and setting up the enabling infrastructure. Betty Kiptum, Lunchtime News.
Before we shift focus to matters sports, let's head down to Tana River County, where about 2,000 residents of the county have received free eye treatment during a medical camp to mark Utamaduni Day. The camp, sponsored by Jeffrey Foundation and organized by local businessman Maur Bwanamaka, was held at Hola County Referral Hospital.
The head of the Hola County Referral Hospital, Abbas Godana, commended the organizers and sponsors of the camp.
Such a camp comes only once in a year, but if they can come regularly, quite beneficial because they will help our patient a lot.
His words were echoed by the beneficiaries.
Ya macho inatakana niende kwa miwani Mombasa kwa ofisi yao kwa bei nafuu. So hii shughuli ya leo imenifurahisha na wamejitolea kutufanyia huduma. Sasa shughuli kama hii iwe inafanywa mara kwa mara.
The organizers promised to have another camp by the end of the year, citing high demand.
In sports, substitute Ramadan Sobi netted a 72nd minute goal and helped Egypt seal a comfortable 3-goals win over Libya in a World Cup qualifying match that was played last evening in Libya. The Pharaohs top Group F with 10 points, while Libya sits second on 6 points. Beg your pardon. Elsewhere, Cameroon claimed a 1-0 win over Mozambique while